guide and direct their steps so that you will bring us happily to our destinations in terms of rescuing others. Save us from danger on the way. Give us good grace, kindness, favor, both in your eyes and the eyes of all whom we may meet. Hear this prayer, for you are a God who listens to the heart's requests. Fulfill for us your words. Behold, I am sending before you an angel to guard you on the way, to bring you to the place which I have prepared. Blessed are you, Baruch Adonai, Shomea Tefillah, the one who hears prayer. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Daryl Jones, and I serve as the Chief of the Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire. I'm grateful to each of you for taking the time to join us today for the dedication of the Sophie Masloff. The Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire has gone through a transition over the past decade. We are not just a fire suppression service. We have transitioned into an all-hazards public safety organization. Yes, we do extinguish fires. However, in addition to fire suppression, we're involved in hazardous materials response, flood response, emergency management, and homeland security. Further, we serve as a force multiplier to our sister agencies, the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police and the Pittsburgh Bureau of EMS, on large-scale or multi-casualty incidents. An assessment of the threats faced by the city of Pittsburgh identified a gap between the threats associated with our three rivers and our capabilities to manage an incident on those rivers. Thanks to the vision of Mayor Peduto and his administration, the fireboat is an asset that will help close that gap. We are not in this alone. I want to thank our partners in the region who assisted us with training and preparation to place this boat in service. Allegheny County Emergency Services, Chief Matt Brown, McKeesport Fire Department, Chief Jeff Tomovic, Eureka Fire Hose Company, Tarentum, Chief Richard Hauser, and our sister services, the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police and the Pittsburgh Bureau of EMS, Scott Schubert, Chief of Police Chief, and Robert Farrell, EMS Chief. In addition, I want to thank Director Griffin, Director of Parks and Recreation, for allowing us to use some of the facilities to continue our training. Last, but definitely not least, I want to thank Rivers Casino for allowing us and hosting us on this. And I definitely want to thank God for such a beautiful day. The Sophie Masloff is a regional asset. As the Director of History tells me all the time, there are no borders. Pittsburgh, being a leader in the region, will assist any municipality with any disaster at any time. Once again, thank you for your attendance, and rest assured, the Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire is prepared to meet the challenges and threats faced by our community. At this time, I would like to welcome Darren Kelly, Executive Board Member of International Association of Firefighters, Local Number 1.
Thank you, Chief Jones. And to echo, what a beautiful day. And it reminds us how beautiful our city really is. And it's fitting that they have this ceremony in North Shore. This was Sophie's vision, this North Shore. And over the years, a lot of our elected officials helped move that along. But this was her idea of what the way this city should be. So it's an honor to stand here. Two words when I was thinking about Sophie were two words that describes not just her, but the SS Sophie Masloff. Tenacity and progress. Tenacity that no matter how hard the situation gets, you'll know you'll rise to the occasion to make this city a better place, what this boat stands for, and what she stood for. And progress, to watch our beautiful city develop the way it is. And for our firefighters to now join along that road to progress as we have a new fireboat recognizing how far our city has become. The men and women of Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire are so proud to steward this piece of equipment fully knowing the responsibilities that come with it, and never forgetting that this is a taxpayer piece of equipment, respected to that point, and we look forward to future endeavors that this city has on behalf of the SS Sophie Masloff and the great mayor herself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darren. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you the Director of Public Safety, Mr. Wendell Hesrick.
Thank you, Chief. Welcome, the Masloff family, firefighters, friends of the city. I'd like to take a moment to thank some of the many individuals that brought us to this day. The mayor for allowing us to move forward with the idea of bringing a fireboat back to the waters of Pittsburgh. Members of the Equipment Leasing Authority, Chair Jennifer Prosciutti, Guy Costa, William E. Bannock, Council President Bruce Krause, Kevin Forsythe, who listened to Chief Jones and myself propose this idea about a year ago, and after numerous questions and inquiries, approved its purchase. Additionally, the Chief's financial officer, Sam Ashball, who was understanding when we somewhat underestimated some of the initial costs regarding this project. Lake Assault Boats, who built this boat and assisted us in designing the Sophie Masloff. The city council members with us today, Councilwoman Harris, who authorized the funding for the advanced training of which occurred over the past several months of over 100 Pittsburgh firefighters to be able to pilot, navigate, and operate this boat. The training provided by the National Association of State Boating and Law Administrators. Assistant Chiefs Norm Alville and Tom Cook for their work in coordinating with the instructors, the neighboring fire departments, and emergency services that provided their boats for the training that was done over the last 2 months. And the David Lawrence Convention Center for providing us conference rooms for the instruction. The Southside Marina and owner David Maxwell for providing a home for the fireboat. And finally, to the Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire and the International Association of Firefighters Local 1 for their dedication and enthusiasm in preparing the staff for the newest addition to the Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire. Over the past week, I'd like to share some of the research that I did on the two predecessors to our new fireboat. Both were named C.D. Scully in honor of a late mayor. Go back to March 1951 in the article prepared by Fire Engineering, which is a nationally known magazine for firefighters. The article stated basically that the government was spending $3 billion on preparing for war air raid shelters, and that the government should consider spending half that money for firefighter protection. It noted in its article, another article in the same magazine, as to how a fireboat named the C.D. Scully 1 saved the city of Pittsburgh. That article, also written in March of 1951, goes back to December 22nd, 1950. And I will quote this, a break in the 36-inch cast iron water main leading from the Highland Park Reservoir, number 1, in the Pittsburgh area, left the city's downtown area virtually without fire protection. The rupture of this supply, one of 3 feeders to the downtown area, left all but a trickle of water for the fire protection in the remaining mains. At this most critical moment, while water departments were struggling to control the flood resulting from the break and restore service, fire was discovered in a 4-story brick Pennsylvania paper stock company at 518 to 526 First Avenue in downtown Pittsburgh. Before the fire was controlled, the paper company's premises and adjoining garage were wrecked, and a 6-story office building was exposed and considerably damaged. Fortunately, however, the fire did not catch the Pittsburgh Fire Department entirely unprepared when it was detected on the early morning of December 22nd. 5 hours before, the fire department officials had warning of the rupture of the large feeder main in the Lawrenceville district. The break, which caused flooding on the streets of the area, reducing the available water supply to less than 65%. Being forewarned of the anticipated shortage, the fire department's fireboat, C.D. Scully, responded on the first alarm received for the paper company's fire and anchored at the foot of Grant Street, approximately 500 feet distance as the crow fly eyes. The first companies responding on the steel alarm following a telephone notification viewed a roaring fire on the top 2 floors of the old plant. The first engine companies to respond connected in the customary way to the city hydrants and ran into trouble. At the juncture, additional forces were being called. 5 hoses were stretched approximately 1,000 feet to the fireboat, and attention centered on preventing serious extension to the rest of the city. The fire quickly involved a paper warehouse and spread to the adjoining city service company. All efforts were directed at this point towards preventing extension of the blaze into the McKenna office building. Over 300 occupants were successfully evacuated by the fire department. In less than an hour, the roof of the paper warehouse was gone and the city's service building was involved. The fire, with the use of the CD Scully, was extinguished in approximately 5 hours, using both the water from the river and relays with the fire pumpers. At 4 p.m., Chief Javis began returning the companies. It was a 6-alarm fire and resulted in 5 minor injuries to firefighters. In 1956, a new boat was purchased. It was designed by Leah A. Gill, who was the director of the city's Department of Automotive Equipment. He spent months on the design and examined fireboats owned by other cities. The specifications he turned over to Pash Marine Services in Erie, Pennsylvania. It included 4 2,500-gallon pumps to supply water to 3 stationary nozzles. Just as a note, it was 1,700 miles to bring the boat from Erie into Pittsburgh, going through the Great Lakes to the Mississippi River, up to the Ohio River, and into Pittsburgh. The new cost of the fireboat at that time was $91,500. It remained in service until 1972, and was sold to the city of Tampa for $50,000. We hope that we never have to use this great piece of equipment behind me. However, like a spare tire for a vehicle, we all know that we will have a good tire and the personnel that know how to safely change that tire. I sincerely appreciate the hundreds of personnel that were involved in making this day come to a reality. I hope it continues. I can assure you that the training will continue for the Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire as well as the other public safety departments so they can all work together as one and handle any potential disaster that was similar to the one that occurred in 1950 that was averted and could have potentially left many more buildings and lives lost in the city of Pittsburgh. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, it's my honor and my pleasure to introduce to you the Mayor of the City of Pittsburgh, Mr. William Perduto.
Thank you, Chief and Director. Thank you for this vision. To the men and women of the Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire, not only thank you for this day, but every day, and for the service that you provide to the people of Pittsburgh. I'd like to recognize Councilwoman Harris, who is with us as well, and to thank the Masloff family. First off, Sophie, thank you for this beautiful day. We had some rough days the days before, and today turns out to be the most beautiful day of this week. And I think that is divine providence shining down upon us. I think Sophie would be really happy, because if there was anything to be said about Mayor Masloff, she cared deeply about people. And it came from her upbringing in the Hill and her understanding of struggle and understanding that all people should be given opportunity. But at the end of the day, I believe that she would be very proud because this boat will serve on the rivers that she loved. This boat will serve to protect people. It will watch over people. It will be what she was to the city, a matriarch, and it will be there in order to help people through their hardest times. It's fitting that the previous boat, which last served the city 45 years ago, was named after Mayor Cornelius Scully. That was not our knowledge when we decided that this beautiful redhead should be named after Mayor Masloff. It was really thinking about who exemplified the type of person that a boat that protects people should be named after. But we stand here today, 45 years later, in a manner that will be able to protect people no matter where they are, whether they're on land, whether they're on water, any type of situation. We have a trained and professional Bureau of Fire to be able to man this vehicle, to be able to provide that service, and we do it in a way that respects our past. It respects the people who were there before serving to make sure that everybody was guaranteed safety. It's a big day. Director, I thank you for your vision of realizing that this was one of the parts that we were missing in our public safety protocol, of being able to understand not only through situations where, of course, we all learn that steel can burn and bridges can catch on fire, but also realizing so many times during a year that this vehicle and the people who will man it are needed to protect the people of Pittsburgh. And Chief, for understanding and seeing this as a part of a new Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire, one that, as was said earlier, does much more than suppress fire, but serves people. It's an honor to be here today to be able to recognize this important event. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to bring up members of the Masloff family, and specifically Jennifer, the granddaughter of Mayor Masloff. We can go ahead and bring this boat into service properly. Don't forget your little, yeah, you're gonna need that.
Hello, everybody. This is really an honor for all of us, of course. Everybody's making me cry, go figure. But I wrote a little speech. On behalf of myself and the rest of my family, I would like to thank Mayor Peduto, Chief Jones, and the rest of the city officials. This is such an honor to us. She was not just our grandmother, but the entire city of Pittsburgh. We as a family are grateful that our legacy will continue on. Thank you again from her grandchildren, Michael and I, her mother who can't be, well, her daughter who can't be here today, and my niece and and my family as well over here. So I just want to thank everybody again for this honor, and thank you, Grandma, for this beautiful day because we needed it. So thank you. Okay.